that side, and then it's now ready to fill up from stocks on the field, so you don't have to worry about what is it, sitting around waiting for stuff to happen. Now, that looks like the harvester needs emptied, so let's go over there and empty the harvester. And that's one of my complaints about Lawfolds, was it's only got a single bunker on the cow farm. And for the first year I was planning to do loose silage, I had a whole bunch of silage bales. So I wasn't in a big hurry to cover up the clamp and let the loose silage start brewing. However, once I covered it over, that took away my ability to quickly unload a bunch of grass into it whenever I cut a field and ended up with too much grass in my loading wagon. It also takes away my ability to quickly dump a load of corn chaff into out of the forage harvester. My only option now is to drive all the way up to the BGA, which means that emptying a forage harvester takes longer. I can't get back in a short period of time. And it's kind of helpful to have a silage bunker close to the field where you're making your chaff, because the forager runs up and down creating chaff, and you have a tractor running to and fro between the forager and the bunker. And the further the distance it has to travel to do that, the longer it's going to take for your forager, and thus the more wages you're going to be paying on the forager as well. Now, if you're playing multiplayer, it doesn't make as much difference, because obviously you can have a player running the forager and two or more players running the transport. So it doesn't really matter that you're not right next to the clamp that you're using. But when you're playing solo, it's like emptying a harvester. If I can run over to a silo and empty the harvester quickly, then I can be back here to empty it again very quick, without it sitting around waiting for me to turn back up. So, won't be long till he's finished. I'm going to have to empty him once he's done. We do have a loading wagon, so we can pick up the straw as well, and we can store the straw in the silo. But right now we're running between the harvester and the potato harvester in order to keep them running. And I'm not, because I've got a silo on farm, I'm not in a big hurry to find a store to sell these at. I can actually wait for a good price. I have no idea what the prices are. Shall we have a look? Wow, barley's a good price here. I think this is the first time I've seen barley sell for more than wheat on any map that I've played so far. So barley can be sold at the Windmill Hill. Okay, that's kind of good. Also, we have potatoes that are currently available as well, and potatoes, the sweet potato sale or the vehicle shop grains. So either one of those we could sell our potatoes at. But I'm kind of going to wait until I've got enough to fill up the tipper before I do that, But potentially I could get something like this where the price is going up, in which case, you know, if I had sunflowers, I would look at that and say that's a good place to sell sunflowers, but maybe I want to sit on the sunflowers for a short while and see how much more the price goes up. Conversely here, if this was the highest place to sell, I might look at that and say I probably want to take some there as soon as possible because the price is going down. And I've had situations like that where, you know, the red one's on top. Here's another one with the red one. See, yeah, that one's not sorting very well. Sugar beets. So this is the best place to sell. However, the price is going down, so I'll probably get to sell one tipper load, and then this will be the best place to sell. So I'll sell there, and then the price will go down here, and this one could once again be the highest one. So I sell here again, and then it could be this one. But then I can sell 3 or 4 loads here before the price drops, because it's not in a depressed state yet. Anyway, we're sitting pretty at the moment. Looks like potato harvester's about to be full, so we'll run over there. Get ready to empty the potatoes. And this is where you see that potatoes, the fact that the potatoes are only worth $306 a litre, whereas the barley's worth about $900 per litre. I've already got 1 load of potatoes out of here so far. It's about to be 2. I've got 2 loads of barley out, and I've still got a load more field to do here. It's a very, very high yield crop, and so we are going to end up with a lot of potatoes. I think, is this going to do the shuffle? Yes. We can drive under there. Whoa. No, stop. Do not pass go. And the capacity of this potato harvester is a lot more than the capacity of the the grain harvester. Makes a change not having to make crates of potatoes. Normally what I'll do is I'll, sugar beets and potatoes, I'll sell them as quickly as possible because they produce a lot, even on a small field like that. However, if I'm planning to do pigs, what I tend to do is, as soon as I get in here, I'll demonstrate. Okay. What I tend to do is the belt system. This thing here is a pallet maker. So you can put sugar beets or potatoes in it, and they run up the conveyor and they drop out into a little wooden crate. And each wooden crate is 2,000 litres. And I find a little wooden crate of 2,000 litres of potatoes or sugar beets much easier to handle than a big mound of potatoes or sugar beets stacked at the side of somewhere. Because the crate you can pick up with a front loader, a big pile you're going to have to shovel with a bucket. Or, and I don't know that. Oh, the conveyors don't tell you if they have limitations on what goes up them. I'm not sure the conveyor... yeah, the conveyors do. They do at least take beats, because I've done that before. Where on law folds I ended up dumping an entire crop of sugar beets into an open barn, and then faced with about 400,000 litres of sugar beets and how to get them into a tipper and take them to the market. And basically all I did was to say, okay, I'm going to get a belt. Engine would be good. So I believe the next field over is oats, which this thing can also harvest. Oh, we've got 7, 8. We did 12 already. So yeah, day one on a not seasons map, you're pretty much going to want to try and keep your harvester employed for the entire day, and pretty much then some. Okay, turn that off, stick the pipe out, and we'll empty this off. Now, I do believe oats is a lower yield crop. Can I get into the oat field for here, or I have to? Let's run over here and see how to get in. So 12 and 13 are similar sizes. Okay. Continuation of the road past 12. But I will get far fewer oats out of 13 than I got barley out of 12. I can't remember whether 13 suffering from a plough penalty. I think that's the case. In which case I'll get even less oats from that because it wasn't ploughed. Once the potato harvest is finished, I'll be able to get the Fence 720 off on probably field prep. Is going to involve a subsoiler. Maybe. Nah, I don't know. We'll try and figure that out. Where's this thing? So that's our entire load of barley for the day. And at nearly $1,000 or £1,000 a litre, that's probably about £15,000, which will put us back over 100. I will run round the side and have a check, see how much is in there now. Go. So 14,000. So that's a little under 14. This is probably about $13,500 on or pounds on that. And this tipper will take it all. Decisions. Gonna drop this here and go over to the store and get the loading wagon. I do like bringing stuff from the store as quickly as, if I'm not doing anything important, let's go and get the stuff I've already bought. And this is a nice little tractor for doing that. It's 32 mile an hour top speed. That's kind of handy. I mean, for an old tractor, you look at something like the Fiat and it's got probably about 22 mile an hour top speed. So this is performing up with the more modern tractors. So the trip to the store and back doesn't take that long. The only way I'm going to get stuff moved faster is, pickup truck or a main truck with a ball hitch. So. Oh, now the other thing I haven't done is buy the BGA, but I don't have any grass and I don't have a forage harvester, so we're not going to be creating silage right now this minute. So, once we got this back to the farm, we're still going to have to service the two harvesters there. That font is still a little bit small for my poor little eyes. Looks like the potato harvester is about 40% full. The New Holland is 30. So it's going to be a while before we need to get the tipper running again. So I think what I'll do is I'll collect at least some of the straw. Or I'll crash into a hedge, why not? Because that looks good on your resume. Thank you. Now ordinarily I'd probably get a small baler and some front loader bale handling equipment, but since this silo does take straw native, and to be able to use straw in a pig or cow enclosure you have to shred the bales, I'm more inclined to just say, oh well, let's use loose. And it's not like we have to travel very far. I think what I'll do is I'll head at least part way down the field. There we go. Doing here 25% full. Not sure, but the potato harvester could have missed a row. That looks a bit from here. We'll go down that row. From this end it's easier to turn into a shorter row. So once I've got this row, I'll go all the way back to the middle of the field again and start another alternating collection. And that's another, I mean, square balers are easier to use than round balers, but at this point, square balers are probably more than I can, well, definitely more than I can afford. And the other issue is because of the shape of these fields and how close the hedges are to the edges, it's easier to use a round baler. They're shorter, they have a better turning circle. Not the baler wrapper, the Kuhn baler wrapper, because that's about the size of a square baler. So it's not going to do you any favours if you can't turn around easily. But something like the small New Holland round baler, I think now, as of today or yesterday, there was a Kuhn round baler added into the mix. Just a single axle thing. They're small, they're light, you can run them on very small tractors because they've only got about, I think they're less than 100 horsepower demand. And you can get them right up into the corners of a field like this. And we're full. Okay. And somebody's red, me. Okay, everybody else is yellow. So we're going to have to start looking at hauling, paying crops somewhere. Excuse me. As I've said many times, I do like this tractor. It's cheaper than the 300, the Vario 300. Has a better horsepower rating, can use a front loader. Did I mention it was cheaper? It's cheaper. So this is a very nice starting tractor, and it goes with the theme because I'm doing Fendt, at least Fendt tractors. Oh, potato harvester's just turned orange, so it is going to need to be emptied very, very soon. I don't mind using this tractor at least this once. I don't think I've used it in any of my regular playthroughs, but I did use it on a couple of the multiplayer Friday farms. Purely because it's less than $100,000 for a 150 horsepower tractor. And you can, in multiplayer, you want as many tractors as you can get. So this one and the Case 7200 Pro are kind of good tractors to take for multiplayer. However, purely because of the horsepower range. Is there a however? I don't know if there's a however, but of the small tractors, this is kind of a high horsepower tractor for the price. And the Case 7200 Pro series, it is very similar. It can be a very high horsepower tractor. It doesn't have the ability to load a front loader on it. But for the price, you're getting a lot of horsepower for your money. And so it's going to be able to do more jobs than say a Fendt 300 or the Massey 5500. 55, I think it's that. The Fiat. The Valtra N, I would put it competing with with the case and the fend. However, it costs a lot more because it's a modern tractor. Oh, and the other killer is the Deutz Agrostar, which costs about $17,000, up to 145 horsepower. So it's not in the same. Yeah, it's not quite in the same league as this one, but front 3-point. It's got loader arms, and it's got a good selection of tyres as well. Wheels, tyres, whatever. Okay, Helper G has a full grain tank, and who is Helper G? I don't know. Looks like the potato dude. Oh, actually both of them. Okay. Try and get this as full as we can. I don't think we're that far off filling it. Down to the end. I'm wasting time on my harvesting. There we go, we're full. There we go, Helper A has a full grain tank as well. So I think, as I said, the most extravagant thing I've bought so far is the Fendt 700, 720. Purely because it's a 200 horsepower tractor, but it does give me some options, if not now, very soon. It's going to be a long-term tractor on the farm, because it is my room for expansion. This tractor is going to make a good yard tractor, and after that we've got the harvester. I'll probably end up keeping that unless I remake the fields, because obviously the fields don't lend themselves well to a big harvester, because the size, the shape, and the confinement around them. But getting getting some large fields would then mean that I'd need a bigger harvester. So you've always got to consider stuff like that. Okay. Try not to doink the tractor and tipper. There we go. So what do you think? Does this look like a good map for starting? I think it might be. The fields are small, you can keep small equipment. I bought, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've bought 6 fields. That's a lot of potential income. My midweek playthrough on Estancia Lapacho, I bought 2 fields. That's not a lot of income. I really blew that one because also the land around the fields, or the fields themselves, contain a lot of wasteland. Here the fields are quite well maximised for the plot of land I'm buying. Obviously I bought the yard, which is unproductive land, but it gives me somewhere to park my stuff. So that's 1 tipper of oats. We probably have, I would guess, 1 more load of oats. And then the harvester will be done there. We need fields 7 and 8. I believe both are harvest ready. I wish the potatoes were getting cleared off faster. But actually, we are not doing that bad here. Okay. Oh, there we go. Potatoes. So that's the oats. That's the corn in 8. There's nothing in 14. It does look like the soybeans are ready to go as well. Yes, they are. Yeah, the other thing to be careful when you're buying fields is, I think, okay, this is first stage harvest. It's not going to wither anytime soon. This is a second stage harvest. This is final stage harvest. If I don't get to this field immediately, there is a good chance that I will lose the crop in it because it'll wither and die. I haven't bought that field, so it's not actually an issue. This field I have no idea, because you have to take the tops off it before you can figure out if it's ready to harvest. Are we emptied? Yes. Okay, I'll just reverse out if I can. No, I can't. Yay. Okay. So that's always a consideration when you're looking to buy. Is buy fields that are at stage 1 or 2 harvest, ready to harvest, because that should give you enough time to actually harvest them. But once the potatoes have all been harvested, we can go out, buy a plough or subsoiler. I'd probably go with the subsoiler. Okay. You're not doing anything. You're not happy. Okay. There he goes. Okay, that thing doesn't work well once it's stopped and the engine turns off. So yeah, now my plan is I'm going to make choices of what equipment to buy as I get to needing them. So I know for a fact I'm going to need a plough or cultivator. I'm going to need a seeder. Now I could get a seeder that doesn't need cultivation, but we do know at least one of these fields requires ploughing. So it's probably just as efficient to buy a also we've got the cornfield, which may not need ploughing right now, but it's going to need ploughing once we harvest it. And the potato field doesn't need ploughing right now, but once we've finished harvesting it, it's going to need to be ploughed. So I need a plough or a subsoiler to get that job done. At which point I can possibly save money and horsepower requirements buying a seeder that does not require. By buying a seeder that is not enabled to cultivate a field. So that's what I'm trying to say. Because that's something I did notice was seeders that don't need cultivators to go through tend to be quite higher horsepower for their working with. I'm going to have to do a bit of manual on that oat field once the work is complete. Because the grass headlands aren't big enough to allow the size of harvester I have, but the grass headlands aren't big enough to allow any size of harvester. So it's not a bad deal, it's just what it is. Okay. That should be all of the straw on this field. Not, oh, there's a couple of little bits here and there. Now also with the tractors I have, because this is a 150 horsepower tractor, damn, that wage bill's a bit steep. Because this is a 150 horsepower tractor, I think most of the equipment I can buy right now is that still on? Yeah, that's still on. Is going to be in the region of 150 horsepower requirements. I know that even the 4 meter subsoiler only about 150 horsepower, 100 horsepower. So both these tractors can run that. I just have to watch it. If I buy a piece of equipment that say is a 180 horsepower requirement, this tractor won't be able to do that particular job, which means I'm gonna have to be careful about how much equipment I buy that is 180 horsepower or higher, or higher than 150, should I say. So that's the problem I've had on Lawfolds is, my Class 940 has about 380 horsepower. It's capable of hauling all of the equipment on the farm, but it's also the only tractor that can comfortably pull the auger wagon. And so if I'm harvesting, I've just lost one of my I've just lost my ploughing tractor, and so I can't get to preparing the fields after I finished the harvest without immediately, should I say. So what I'm looking at, I ended up buying another 940, still only 380 horsepower, but that now means I have 3 big tractors on the farm that can do all of the big heavy jobs. And due to the amount of rain I've had in the last 2 years in the fall, I kind of need 3 big tractors because not because I need them every day of the year, it's just that I need them kind of 3 days of the year. And there we go, that's full. And the next tractor down from the class is, I think, the Valtra, which has about 280 horsepower. And that can't pull any of the field prep equipment or seeders. Now, other tasks it's very well handy for, but I've got to the point on that particular farm where most of my equipment's 12-meter working width or a heavy plough. So so basically what I'm trying to say is the more tractors, or if you buy equipment that all your tractors can run, you're not going to be, oh no, I've got my biggest tractor out doing a job and I need that job done, so now I've got to decide, is the job it's doing more important than the next one I need to do. What is the time now? It's coming up midnight. I may go another half hour to an hour. I must admit, I'm not sure how long I've been going already. Let's look at the stats. There we go. Okay, we've only been playing for an hour and a half, so I may go another hour and a half, and I may come back to this later on in the weekend as well. So it'll be a 2-part first look as opposed to just one 3-4 hour stream, because obviously I haven't got round to prepping the fields after harvesting them all. It'd probably be good to do that. Okay, one of the things is orange. That's the grain harvester is almost full. Yeah, there's the warning. I'm actually kind of surprised how much we've gotten off field 13. Oh, field 13 was the one that was one level of fertilization, which is why I'm getting a little bit more oats than I would have expected to. for the oats. So we can still harvest those little tufts that are running down the side of the field. The other thing we're going to need is a corn header for the field just adjacent to us. So once the harvester's finished on this field, I'll probably ship it over to field 7, where we can harvest the soybeans, which are on a field that needs to be ploughed, so are not going to be a great yield. We live with what we have. Has that thing stopped? No, it hasn't stopped yet. Okay, potato harvester's turned yellow. He's still doing his thing. Doing here 20,000 litres. Probably cut back on myself. Hang on, did that just fill up? That just filled up. Okay. All done. We can go get the tipper and empty the harvesters again. So I do have a bit of a sore throat today, which is why I keep coughing. And part of that is down to our kitchen rework has started. And so they were sanding down the ceiling to take the popcorn off. Popcorn ceilings are not recommended for kitchens because you can't clean them. And after about 15 years, the grease just collects and you can't do much about it. So we've had the ceiling sanded down. Our main decorator will be in to paint the ceiling and the walls, possibly sometime this week. But obviously sanding down the ceiling, there was a lot of dust in the house yesterday evening, and that's irritated my throat, which also doesn't help that one of the new kids we have in the house has gone to school, so she's picking up all sorts of unhealthy things from other kids at school. She's been coughing a lot the last few days, so I probably have something. And I have a load of dust in my throat that needs to get cleared out. But we're about to get a new kitchen, which will be awesome. Oh, I think he's reached the end of the job. Potato guy is running out of space. So we'll park this here, I guess, and press the right button and go there. It's not even full yet. So I'm actually going to do some more harvesting before we bother to empty it. I have to be careful though. I would prefer not to destroy the crop as I'm ploughing it up. do like the information panel readout now, that it tells you the actual number of litres you've got and the percentage full you are. I think the only extra bit that the mod gives you is it also tells you the litre capacity of your piece of equipment. Which is something I don't have here. So I can see I'm, what, 93% full. But I don't know what my maximum capacity is. Oh, come on. Push cruise control. Do that thing. Save my toes. So it looks pretty likely I'm not going to fill this thing up. What I'm wondering is if there's an entrance to the soybean field from this end. Can I just follow this farm track along further and get into the soybean field rather than having to go all the way back to the yard and out again? And there we go, done. I think I'm done. Yep, I did get all of that. That's a lot of words there. Oh. Potato harvester has an unknown reason. Okay. That's a shame. Well, we'll empty this. We'll try and run down to field 7 from this end. Looks like the farm track does run past it. Two, one. Okay. Turn the flashing lights off too. So this is not going to be the best yield you can get from every field, but it's going to be adequate. For the most part, we're getting at least 100% yield. And the best yield you can get is 165. Okay, is there a gap in the fence here? Kind of not seeing it. Oh, yes. Goody goody. There we go. Get off there. That should take a long time to fill up. Because soybeans and lower yield. Of course, I'll probably be surprised. Okay, that's all the oats done. Don't think pigs need oats. I'm not really in a good state to buy pigs right now. Primarily because until I've got about 150 pigs, they are zero return on investment. That's a bad thing. Not that one. But we do have a lot of potatoes. Okay, lower it, turn it on, try forwards, and get the worker going. We can take the potatoes off to the market, no, off to the shed. Now the other strategy here is I don't want to, I want to start preparing the fields, get them cultivated, get them seeded. However, I don't want to be in the position where a field's half done and I need to transport harvested crop. So at this point we're going to use the friend that's on the potato harvester for field work until the main harvesters are done as well. So I will leave that there and we'll carry on.